All right, we're going to pick up right here, right after this M- section here. There'd be another one after midnight, was now being served, and Jordan invited me to join her own party, who were spread thin around a table on the other side of the garden. There were three married couples and Jordan's escort, a persistent undergraduate given to violent innuendo. I really hope I have sound this time. I don't know where to check it. There were three married couples and Jordan's escort, a persistent undergraduate given to violent innuendo, and obviously under the impression that sooner or later Jordan was going to yield him up her person to a greater or lesser degree. So acting like clearly he and Jordan were going to get together that night. Instead of rambling, this party had preserved a dignified homogeneity and assumed to itself the function of representing the staid nobility of the countryside, East Egg condescending to West Egg, and carefully on guard against its spectroscopic gaiety. This whole comparison of East Egg to West Egg is an important thing, and we've talked before about the differences between the two. "Let's get out," whispered Jordan after a somehow wasteful and inappropriate half hour. "This is much too polite for me." We got up and she explained that we were going to find the host. I had never met him, she said, and it was making me uneasy. The undergraduate nodded in a cynical, melancholy way. The bar, where we glanced first, was crowded, but Gatsby was not there. So they're out looking for Gatsby. No one's seen him. She couldn't find him from the top of the steps, and he wasn't on the veranda. On a chance, we tried an important-looking door and walked into a high Gothic library paneled with carved English oak and probably transported complete from some ruin overseas. I just did this video but didn't have sound on, and I highlighted this. Really, really incredibly rich house, everything in it. I mean, the doors, everything. Ridiculously wealthy. A stout middle-aged man with enormous owl-eyed spectacles. This character goes by the name of Owl Eyes. New character. Minor kind of character, but plays a role in some things. He was sitting somewhat drunk on the edge of a great table, staring with unsteady concentration at all the shelves of books. As we entered, he wheeled, I wish there was a comma right there, by the way. He wheeled excitedly around and examined Jordan from head to foot. "What do you think?" he demanded impetuously. Be a good word to look up. "About what?" He waved his hand towards the bookshelves. "About that. As a matter of fact, you needn't bother to ascertain, because I ascertained." Another good word. I figured out. "They're real." "The books?" He nodded. "Absolutely real." Odd thing, right? But these books are real in the library. They have pages and everything. I thought they'd be a nice durable cardboard. Matter of fact, they're absolutely real pages, and here, let me show you. Taking our skepticism for granted, he rushed to the bookcases and returned with volume 1 of the Stoddard Lectures. You can look up that illusion. "See," he cried triumphantly, "it's a bona fide piece of printed matter. It fooled me. This fellow's a regular Belasco." Another illusion you could look up. "It's a triumph. What thoroughness, what realism. Knew when to stop, too. Didn't cut the pages. But what do you want? What do you expect?" He snatched the book from me and replaced it hastily on its shelf, muttering that if one brick was removed, the whole library was liable to collapse. "Who brought you?" he demanded, "or did you just come?" "I was brought. Most people were brought." Jordan looked at him alertly, cheerfully, without answering. "Well, I was brought by a woman named Roosevelt," he continued. "Mrs. Claude Roosevelt. Do you know her? I met her somewhere last night. I've been drunk for about a week now, and I thought it might sober me up to sit in the library." Owl Eyes has been drunk for a week at least, and he's sitting in the library. "Has it sobered you up?" "Well, a little bit, I think. I can't tell yet. I've only been here an hour." "Hey, did I tell you about the books? They're real. Yeah, you told us." We shook hands with him gravely and went back outdoors. And here's a really cool descriptive paragraph coming up. "There was dancing now on the canvas in the garden, old men pushing young girls backward in eternal graceless circles, superior couples holding each other tortuously, fashionably, and keeping in the corners, and a great number of single girls dancing individualistically, or relieving the orchestra for a moment of the burden of the banjo or the traps. By midnight, the hilarity had increased. Now the party's picking up. A celebrated tenor had sung in Italian, and a notorious contralto had sung in jazz, and between the numbers, people were doing stunts all over the garden, while happy, vacuous bursts of laughter rose toward the summer sky. A pair of stage twins, who turned out to be the girls in yellow, did a baby act in costume, and champagne was served in glasses bigger than finger bowls. The moon had risen higher, and floating in the sound was a triangle of silver scales. Pretty cool alliteration there. Trembling a little to the stiff, tinny drip of the banjos on the lawn. Stiff and tinny. We taught what that word was before, that same vowel sound right there. Stiff and tinny. Tinny drip of the banjos on the lawn. I was still with Jordan Baker. We were sitting at a table with a man about my age and a rowdy little girl who gave way upon the slightest provocation to